Welcome to the podcast about two guys who grew up in the 90s listening to grunge and pretty much overlooked everything else. Let us take you on a journey to find the music that we missed out on Stuck in My Generation. Welcome back to the podcast, Stuck in My Generation. Like that stupid guy before me said, we are trying to expand our musical horizons by not only knowing the hits of things that we might have heard passing through the 70s and 80s as kids. You were born in the 70s, the 76, 81 for me. So that statement is accurate, growing up through the 70s and 80s. And today we come upon a band that is not the kings of rock by any means. Cheesy dad pun joke. They are the queen of rock.
Queen of rock.
And it is Queen. Real quick, I know the hits and maybe a tiny bit more. I think I bought the News of the World album on vinyl. Everything sounds better on vinyl. I'm not one of those guys, actually, but I bought that when I had a record player back when I thought I was cool. And I may have listened to that whole album, but I have never listened to an album start to finish. I've just heard the hits, which there's a bunch of them, but I don't know the rest. So out of 15 albums I posted on our social media, I probably know less than 5% of their total work. So I felt this was a great episode to do because they may be way better than we know. That's my experience. What's your experience, Mr. Hicks?
Yeah, I agree. I knew the hits. I wrote down, I'm not going to go through them, but I wrote down every song that I had heard. There's a lot of stuff that's been on the radio, a lot of radio play songs, most of the hits and stuff. But man, I was so happy when we agreed to do this band. I just wanted to dig into it. I wanted to see what was happening. It was
time.
It
was time. We took a nice break from the 70s. Good timing on this one.
I think so too. And you made a solid point offline. To do this right, this isn't easy. And you replied, if you're working while playing this music, you're not really listening. It just turns into background music. I was so guilty of that. You put my thoughts into words, and I was hearing the music, but I wasn't listening to it. And I just stopped, started focusing. I just started over. And I'm glad that you brought that up because I knew it, but I didn't really know it. So
yeah.
You brought that to my attention. I really appreciate that.
Hey, that's same way I go about it. Like a song may catch my attention if I've got it on while working, but more likely than not, I'm just like, numbers, spreadsheets, yay, guitar, drums, spreadsheets. It doesn't work.
Cubicle wall.
It just doesn't work. You gotta. I told you I've got a single Bluetooth earbud. It's kind of my cheat code for everything, for life of every kind. Like if I know I'm going to run into somebody who I can't handle, that they just talk and talk and talk, I'm like, earbud. They're talking, and while they're talking, it's like, this is the new style, Beastie Boys, and they think I'm nodding at them, and I'm not. It's a beautiful thing.
Just smile when they smile.
Just smile when they smile. That's right. Yeah. Most people don't care. They just want to think that you're listening to them anyways, unless they ask that question, like, do you agree? And it's like, shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to think on that one. Let me sleep on that question.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you. Man, I had a couple questions for you, but you already answered one of them regarding how many songs that you'd listened to.
I'm on top of shit tonight.
You're on top of shit. You're on top of shit every night. But I'm going to ask you.
Fireball.
There you go. Hit that. I'm kind of curious. I'm interested in what you heard. Did you hear any other bands that maybe influences when you were listening to Queen?
Oh yeah.
What'd you hear?
Oh yeah. The one that stands out the most, and one of them I may be way off base. One, the Beatles, of course.
Sure.
Tons. I've got not tons, but there's plenty of instances where I just wrote down on my notes Beatles. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of there's a lot of Sgt. Pepper like sounds and some of this stuff. A lot of that, but they're able to do it in a different way. So I'm not saying it as I'm taking something away from Queen. They're just, how are you not? You know, when a band like the Beatles comes out and then the Stones shortly after, and they put out this music, and you're going to start a rock band. What are you starting a rock band based off of? Did you come up with this shit all by your lonesome? Like you're in your room and you're like, I think this would sound good. I think distortion would sound. No, it's been done. You want to get it, add to it, make it your own, build it. So I heard that. And what I was really surprised about was I heard Black Sabbath on some of these.
Oh yeah, good.
Heard some Black Sabbath in there.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, not Dio. I didn't hear. I might have to do that once an episode. But I heard, man, I am good at that. I need to be in a hair metal band. But anyways,
you're very good at that. I agree.
Very good at that. I need to do it more like Kermit the Frog. They're like, but yeah, I heard a lot of Black Sabbath. I heard some metal influence, and I didn't really know that about Queen. So those were the two bands that I heard the most influence from. I'm pretty sure a couple times I was like little Zeppelin-esque.
Yeah.
But I mean, Queen came out, what was their first album? 73, I think. I believe it was 73. So by this time, they've got those bands we mentioned are kind of out there. I didn't really hear anything deeper than that. I don't listen to, shit that sounds like Barry Manilow, but I imagine Freddie Mercury wanted to do some romantic crooner shit, and he got that somewhere. But yeah, that's the influences I heard. I'm interested to hear if you heard anything that I didn't name, or elaborate on what you heard that I did name.
Oh no, I completely agree. My notes, I heard the Beatles, I heard the Who. I want to say some cheap.
I don't hear the Who I don't even hear the Who when I listen to the Who.
Yeah.
Turn that shit off. That's what I do.
Turn that shit off. I want to say I heard a little bit of Cheap Trick, which I don't know a lot about Cheap Trick.
When did they start?
I don't know.
I don't either. I'll look that up while you're talking.
Yeah. I heard a little bit of Rush. I heard Sabbath. I heard Zeppelin. I know just a little tiny bit of Styx. I heard Styx.
Fucking Styx.
Beach Boys harmonies. And surprisingly, the vocals with the guitar singing along, I heard Avenged Sevenfold.
Okay, so we're talking. Oh, so you're talking also bands that you influenced. Oh, yeah.
I'm talking everything. Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have been more specific.
Yeah, there's definitely Avenged Sevenfold in there. I think every rock band from like 75 to 2000, there's just Queen had such a broad,
oh my gosh,
sound. They could do just about anything. I don't know who wasn't influenced by him, honestly. Sure. And that will eventually lead me to a statement near the end of the show that I am very my conviction runs deep on. So yeah, I heard a lot. I don't know who wasn't influenced by this band, but if you're a band after them and you weren't influenced by them, something is wrong.
How could you not be influenced by this band as a professional musician?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, because what I'm going to say next, I'll say two things, and I know one of them you're going to say too, so we can talk about it for a minute. But one, Freddie Mercury is, in my opinion, the greatest frontman of all time. No, I just the greatest frontman of all time. I don't think anybody has done it better than Freddie Mercury. I don't think anybody will have I don't want to say the vocal talent, because there's a lot of vocal talent out there, but knowing how to use your vocal talent. I've never heard anyone use their gift better than Freddie Mercury. See, you want to sing something that sounds kind of Sabbathy? He can do it. I mean, rock voice, hard rock voice, opera voice, just so, I mean, you name it. I am convinced that Freddie Mercury can do it. If he didn't do it on some of the albums, I bet he could. I bet if you said, Freddie, sing this like this, that dude could do it. So to me, there's no greater frontman. There's no one that catches my attention vocally like Freddie Mercury. Pow! Freddie.
Cha-chow.
Cha-chow. Freddie Lightning McQueenery.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree.
And Brian May, I did not know he was that good.
Oh my God.
I know you said that too. You sent me that message, but I had no clue. I knew he was good, but the hits that you hear, the We Will Rock You and all that shit. Yeah. I mean, he plays guitar. I didn't know he played guitar the way I found out that he played guitar, which is he probably catapulted just from the first 7 albums to my favorite guitarist of all time.
Oh my!
So you know where this episode is going for me.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I thought, I'm a guitar fanboy. I'm a huge fan of Clapton, and this doesn't make sense now, but I'll circle back around and it'll make sense. But I'm a fan of the drug years Clapton, not the alcoholic years Clapton, not the sober.
Drug years are best for everyone.
Yeah, not the sober years Clapton.
My own drug years.
Yeah. But I'm happy that the dude's sober now. But I always think about that the graffiti back in the day, that Clapton is God. Everybody's seen that. And I thought, man, after listening to Brian May, he's on a whole different level, I think, in my opinion. I mean, there's just nothing that he cannot do. I think Clapton was kind of, from what I heard from during that time, I don't think he was really putting out a whole lot of diverse stuff. But circling back around, I think Brian May was on a whole different tier.
It was nuts, man. Honestly, it was nuts.
It was nuts. And then accompanied by Freddie Mercury, which he switched his name over to Mercury. Mercury was the mythological messenger of the gods. And that fits him so much because, I mean, he's one of the greatest vocalists of all time. It's crazy.
I think he is the greatest vocalist of all time. I'm going to continue to just like massage his ego if he was still around. To me, he's just the best.
I totally agree. I don't know who to compare him to. And before we dive into these album reviews, I think we agreed upon the first 7 albums. These albums were 1 year apart, and the songs that were on these albums, it's crazy.
Par for the course of the 60s and 70s, man. These people wanted to pump it out. And I want to say I read this about Queen. I could be wrong, but I thought I read that one of the band's only problems with tension amongst the band, I don't remember if it might have been Freddie Mercury. Why do I have problems saying that? Fireball. Fuck off, Fireball. But I think I want to say, and I could be wrong, I think Freddie Mercury wanted to make an album every 6 months. And I think, the musicians in the band were just like, come on, man. Like that's it's not logical. Can't quite be done. I might be wrong, but I think I read it about them. But yeah, I mean, they just pumped them out, and the growth from one album to the next, considering the short time span, was very Beatles-like.
I agree.
Very Beatles-like.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. And these guys, they were smart, and their music sounded smart. And I was convinced if they were handed a belt from an engine and a spaghetti strainer, they'd make a tune out of it and sell albums to buy houses.
Yep.
It's just unreal. Just I
don't want to say too much, I guess, because we're going to talk on the albums, but man, there's so much I could say.
Sure.
That I just shouldn't, because we should go par for the course of the show. One, I've never seen the cover of the Queen self-titled debut. I've never seen that cover. Like when I started this whole thing, I pulled that up. I was like, I don't know this album at all. Like not even a little bit.
I totally agree.
And as soon as you turn it on, as soon as you turn Queen on, shit was rocking right out of the box.
Yeah.
Like rocking harder than I'm used to hearing them rock, By the way, I'll throw this out there. It's for the next episode, but I don't care.
Sure.
Like Radio Gaga, I'm not a fan of that song by any means. It was a breath of fresh air to start out from the beginning and hear how hard this band rocked.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I thought, man, right from the start, and that Brian May OG tone and the precise vocals from Keep Yourself Alive, track number 1, it's just bam, right there in your face. That's what I was
right
wanting.
in your face.
That's what I was wanting. That's what I like. That's what I enjoy. It came across track number 2, Doing All Right. And man, I went through a lot of these tracks, took notes on a bunch of these songs. Hopefully I'm not going to bore you with them. But track number 2.
No, give me all the notes you can, because I really simplified my notes on this journey.
Okay, good. Track number 2, Doing All Right. I thought, man, this is just like water flowing. It's natural. It's very Allman Brothers, Dickie Betts flavor with a theatrical element. Songs like this, it just makes time stop for me. It just stops. My mind goes numb. Midway through the song was a jam. Had no idea this was coming. That's what I like, the unexpected. So really, track number 2, give me more. I'm ready for more.
Yep.
Then we have the Great King Rat.
I love this song.
I love this song too.
I've jammed out to this one hard over and over, actually, whenever I heard it.
Okay. Punkish intro.
Yep.
Love
that
this
must
song.
be why.
Early Sabbath sound around the 4-minute mark.
Yep.
And I thought there's nothing that these guys cannot do. And my notes say, in conjunction with other bands during this time, I'm calling this the beginning of the metal sound.
Yeah.
The birth of metal.
I mean, it could be argued easily.
Yeah. I'm not saying Queen solely, but I'm saying in conjunction with other bands, man, this is the birth of metal. It's so good. Yeah. So you really enjoyed the song Great King Rat?
Great King Rat, the fast-paced vocals were just kind of knocked me over, and being a fan of the band I won't mention this episode.
I'll do it. It's okay.
I like the longer songs with tempo changes and such, and Great King Rat is one of those songs. Keeping Yourself Alive, I thought, was a total banger too. Just the reason I was able to simplify my notes on this one, those are my top 2 songs. So making a playlist and putting songs I can't live without, I loved Keep Yourself Alive and Great King Rat. And that's not to take anything away, because I loved all these songs. Jesus was just right there on the cusp, but I had this slight gospel thing, and I just don't like gospel music. That's nothing against Jesus. I just, it's a taste thing. So every single song on this album I thought was good. Modern Times Rock and Roll, even though it was 1 minute and 48 seconds, good song. Like, everything was good, but 2 tracks stood out to me big time. And that is I think it's going to be kind of a problem we run into on the second half of the discography. I think we're going to hear some stuff that we don't love, but it's not that we don't like it. It's that we don't love it in comparison to other Queen songs. Like, album 1, not a bad song on the whole thing. Listen to every track, no temptation to skip. Every single song was just really good, but those 2 songs stood out to me.
Okay, good.
That's not even taking anything away from the others. Those were just like elite tracks when the rest were all pro.
Yeah, exactly. My Fairy King, I thought we're getting a little bit of that theatrical rock opera-esque, and this song defined Freddie's range. Just unreal. I said he's the best in the world. That was my notes. He's the best in the world. Next track, Liar. This guitar progression blows me away.
Yep, another long one too.
I hear bits of Hendrix. I hear bits of Pete Townsend's large open chords. Holy shit, this is so good. And then we come to the track, The Night Comes Down. Holy shit, this is the favorite. This is my favorite on the entire album. Just the acoustic progression. Just
write that down.
Oh, it's so good. Such a beautiful melody. Just really got my attention. And, I'm not really easy to impress. I'm kind of... And this song, it was my favorite.
A couple of 40-year-old curmudgeons.
That's right.
At all.
Yeah, and I thought Modern Times Rock and Roll. the drummer singing. I thought, how many
Does that
leads?
quite a bit on the
He does that
way through
quite a
this journey.
bit, and he's good. But I thought,
He's good.
how many lead singers would allow this? Not very many. I don't know during this
Yeah.
time today. I just don't know. And I'm like you, the song Jesus, the storytelling, theatrical vibe. Get me back to the heavy shit, please.
Yeah, I
want
like
more
that
of that.
song. That was one of those ones that kind of sounded like a prog rock track to me. Like it
Uh-huh.
kind of had this slowness and calmness about it, and then somewhere along the middle, Brian May's just like. I was just like,
Yeah.
dude, this guy knocks every song out of the park. Freddie Mercury could sing about the Easter Bunny, and I'd be like, listen to that range. And he'd be like,
Yeah.
Easter Bunny. Like,
You got it.
the dude can sing, man. And you were talking about Roger Taylor, like singing on some tracks, and it's like, shit, dude, they still sound good even with him. It's not Freddie, but he still sounds good. It's
sure.
They just couldn't. This first album, at least, they couldn't do any wrong in my eyes.
No, I totally agree. It was very good. It's established their foundation. I don't really think, from what I saw and read, that it really didn't prime the pump regarding them taking off as a band. But I really enjoyed this album. Really satisfied with it, and it made me crave more. I was ready to see what was next.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point too. Like, this is not their taking off point. This is the point that comes out and it grabs your attention. Like, lead singer can sing. Like, if I'm living right now in 1973, I'm like, this Freddie Mercury guy can sing. The Roger Taylor guy, drums are good, man. Drums are real good.
Yeah.
Brian May, dude, can play. Like, okay, this is a terrible comparison. Don't even think I'm comparing the two. But I made the comment in a past episode that Greta Van Fleet was a band that I heard and thought, listen to that talent. If only they could find their own sound.
Sure.
And eventually they may, and they may be really damn good.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not a comparison whatsoever. But on this album, I thought, listen to these guys. Like, there's so much potential there to crank out some of the biggest hits the world has ever known. None of them are on this album, though. But this is damn good. Like, it's damn good. And if I lived in 1973, I'd be like, I'm watching this band. Everything that comes out, I'm watching what they do. That was what I took away from that album.
Sure. And in 1973, if I was a struggling musician and heard this album, I'd be like, screw it, I give up. There's no way that
the talent is off the charts, man. Like, they didn't fine tune it, but the talent is just off the charts.
And I know midweek offline, you threw one comment my way. You said, this is the essential rock and roll group. I mean, this is, it's just, this is
it. I mean, this is it. I was thinking about this earlier today too. Like, I love the Beatles, and I really got stuck on the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone were to ask me what's the greatest rock and roll band of all time, I was like, I would say, I'll save that for later. But I really had to think about a lot of things that I'll explain later.
Good.
More Fireball. That's what that means. No, not really. But yeah, do you have any other thoughts on the tracks or the style or anything else about this album? Because it was a great introduction to listening to a full album by this band.
Oh, I totally agree. It was just overall, just the precision, just so good. It just really grabbed my attention. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I was ready for more. Give me more Queen right now.
Give us more Queen. So then we've got the next album, which has the iconic cover that I recognized immediately. And I thought, this album's going to have some hits on it. And I was wrong. Doesn't mean it wasn't great, but there wasn't. Again, this is, as titled, Queen Part 2, more another display of just rock and roll power. But they didn't do it yet. I'll throw that out there now. They didn't find their way quite yet. But again, when I say their way, all I mean is they hadn't dropped a jam that would be known worldwide quite yet. But this album was just as good as the first one. just no bad songs. Again, I didn't hear one single track on this album that was bad. Now, as far as what I really, really loved off this album, there's a bunch. I don't know what, I didn't write down the one I loved, but all of them I really liked. You said something about Someday, One Day, Father to Son, I thought was a jam. Nevermore, I thought was a jam. There's a standout track here, but I'm having trouble thinking of it. But you let me know what you thought, and I'm gonna find that track.
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead and search for it. It's a lot to remember. Father to Son, track number 2, match guitar notes that trail vocals. This is so Avenged Sevenfold, which is freaking awesome. I love that shit. Man, the Someday One Day favorite. This is my favorite on this album. This is Queen's version of Led Zeppelin's Ramble On, in my opinion. And again, I get to songs like this, time just stops for me. I'm in the moment. I'm focused. My mind's numb. It's just that might be a little bit contradictory what I just said.
You messaged me on this one. Like this is one of the first times you pointed out a specific song with that particular jam, and you had messaged me that, and I was like, well, shit, I've already listened to this album. Did I not? I didn't catch it like you did, and I listened to it a few times afterwards, and great song. Didn't hit me quite the way it hit you, but I was like, damn good song, but yeah, I feel like you felt some of the acoustic jams off these first 2 albums.
Yeah, and I usually don't pick up on that a whole lot. It usually doesn't impact me a whole lot.
Everything they do it good.
Yeah, I listen to this song. I listened to the song 3 times. I love the song so much, just back to back to back. Loved it. I came across The Loser in the End, track number 5. Man, this song resembles The Who's The Seeker so much, in my opinion, which was released 3 years prior to this track. I'm not saying they copied the groove, but it really sounded like it sounded a lot like it. I can't talk thanks to the beer, but I'm kind of tripping on my words. I'm sorry about that, but it reminded me a lot of a Who jam. Ogre Battle, high pitched
heavy
screeches, heavy
Shrek screeches. Ogre Battle, they knew who Shrek was before Shrek knew who he was. Mike Myers is like, God damn, Queen knew who I was.
Yeah. Came across the Fairy Fellers Master Stroke.
Weird jam, weird name.
Do you remember the Mr. Roboto song?
Yep.
Sticks, Mr. Roboto. I thought, man, this is so much secret. I've got a secret. The Sticks, fantasy rock, medieval, some type of keyed instruments that I don't know the name for, and I really don't care because it's a stupid instrument. But kind of, heard that medieval stuff in there. The song Nevermore, my notes claim when I thought Mercury couldn't get any better, he did. This guy's the best vocalist that ever lived.
Yeah. This next track was my jam off this album that I did add to my King of Queens was my playlist name on YouTube Music, but the March of the Black Queen.
Oh yeah.
Prog song, 6 minutes, 32 seconds. Yeah. Loving that long shit, you know. And that was a jam, just up, down, up, down, up, down. I dig that shit. And Queen just like, they could do it all, like you look at the track listing on this and you've got Nevermore was 1:18, and then March of the Black Queen comes in at 6 minutes and 32. And that's not the only 6-minute track on this album. There's 2-minute tracks. There's 4-minute tracks.
Well, they're all over.
They're all good, and they're all done right. Mm-hmm. And none of them left me thinking like, I wish they'd have done this differently here. Didn't happen. It just didn't happen. It's like this band, even though they haven't put out their first major hit, has knocked both of these albums out of the park. And that's incredible.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. You mentioned the March of the Black Queen. my notes. This is like a movie soundtrack song, but there's no movie. I mean, what inspired these guys to write this stuff?
I
What was going
know.
on through their heads? It's
It's
just
like
unreal.
It's like Pink Floyd The Wall before Pink Floyd The Wall. It's like they've got this vision in their head. They lay it out on instruments, and it just, I mean, I've never been one for hardcore drugs, but if I had some shrooms or LSD, I bet that this album would take me on one hell of a trip.
Oh yeah, this song's a trip for sure. And I thought, these guys write this and remember it. How do they remember it? And I thought, we're starting to get into a little bit of the Bohemian Rhapsody. I can't
Yes.
talk because of the beer, forgive me. But I thought we're starting to head in that direction, which is a good thing.
Yeah, you're starting to hear that experimentation, and it's a very good thing.
And you mentioned the Beatles. Funny How Love Is, track number 10. I hear a tiny sprinkle of the Beatles.
Yep.
Just a tiny little bit, which is a good thing. It's good.
Yeah.
I enjoy that.
Yeah.
So I'd say with this album, the Someday One Day, man, I love that song so much. It's going to stick with me. I'm going to be looking for it again. I'm going to, enjoy that from here on out. Just a really good album, just a good follow-up.
Seven Seas of Rye, I guess, was the single off this album, and I thought it was okay. Thought it was solid. I mean, just nothing. You can't say anything the opposite about Queen so far, but that didn't really nail it big either. So it's like we've got this rock band with loads of talent, with just the most potential in the world, and then you got Sheer Heart Attack.
Sure.
That comes out. And I feel like this is where it kind of begins for this band.
I totally agree. I read, I don't know where, but I read this was ranked number 2. This is their number 2 album. Top.
I saw it. How many? I saw it on a 2-on-1 list, and it was generally in the top 5 of all of them. Rightfully so, because the whole album just kind of rocks ass.
Oh yeah, album number 3. These guys still have my attention so much.
Yeah, Brighton Rock has some killer solos on it.
Oh my god, dude! I have Brighton Rock. I love this. The transition from the circus sounds to the guitar riff opening is produced so good, and just so good. And the guitar at around 240-ish. Fuck me. This is so good. This is early Metallica galloping rhythm.
Yeah.
It's just, I had no idea that it was coming. The Rock of Ages hook. Oh, it's just a great track right off the bat. And this is what I'm chasing. You and I both, this is what we're chasing.
Yep. This is where you hear Brian May and you're like, really? Like what? What? Because listen, honestly, I know a few songs from the 80s period, and we don't get to the 80s in this first episode. We're still strictly on, 70s. This whole episode's the albums from the 70s. In the 80s, there's hits that have hardly any guitar, which is a shame because Brian May is literally just talent just runs through every single finger on both hands. The dude can shred, he can play anything you want.
He's from another planet.
He's from another planet. On Brighton Rock, I was just like, why aren't some of these huge Queen hits? Because he just puts on a clinic with the guitar, a homemade guitar at that.
A homemade guitar built by himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unreal. That's crazy. Track number 2, Killer Queen.
Great song. I know it's a hit, but great song.
And I read where this was defined as their groundbreaking track. I was aware of this song. Yeah, I was aware of this song. I've always enjoyed it. But, it wasn't a really big surprise to me. The third track, Tenement Funster, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
This is my favorite song with Roger Taylor on vocals. I thought this song was one hell of a jam. And this is what really impressed me about Roger Taylor. I was like, I love this song, and it's not even Freddie Mercury, which just is impressive to me.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I hate to be picky with this track because I really enjoy it.
You bastard.
Man, I'm going to get really down into the details, but from like 1:20-ish, 1 minute 20 seconds to 1 minute 26 seconds. This resembles David Gilmour from Pink Floyd so much. Just this little itty bitty part. And I don't know who was first and what. I really don't give a shit about that.
Right.
Thought,
all these bands from this era kind of blend together.
They're interconnected. Point, so. That's expected.
Yep.
But this shit's like way before internet and everything. And man, they're way before as a guitar player wannabe, way before tablature. They're picking this up by ear only.
Well, how many guitar gods were there at this time? You know what I mean? Chuck Berry could play the shit out of his guitar. We didn't really hear a lot of we heard some intricate work from the Beatles and we heard some good shit from the Stones, but as far as like that sound of just blazing solos and stuff, how many were there? Jimmy Page and Brian May, really? At that time, possibly?
Yeah, very limited. So this was a very good track. Yeah.
Damn good track.
What were some of your favorite tracks from this album?
Brighton Rock, Killer Queen, Tenement Funster all hit me. Flick of the Wrist hit me. I thought those first four tracks were outstanding. Lily of the Valley I thought was solid. Now I'm Here was solid. In the Lap of the Gods was solid. Stone Cold Crazy is a fucking banger.
Oh my God.
That's a banger. Now I heard that song.
Sure.
This is the embarrassment of doing a show like this. I heard that song and was like, Metallica covered this on that Garage Inc. song. I knew the lyrics, I knew the whole song, but I knew it because of Metallica. That's the sad part. I guess it's not that sad. We grow up how we grow up, but this is part of the reason stuck in my generation. Like Metallica, James Hetfield, but and Freddie Mercury did this and they did it better, and it's just I hear this song and I'm like, God, this is a jam for the time period that it was in. Great song. Dear Friends was good. Misfire's good. Bring Back That Leroy Brown was good. Not one of my favorites, but it was good. Yeah. She Makes Me solid. And The Lap of the Gods Revisited solid. The whole album is fantastic, but this is the first one where I probably just fall in love with half of the album. Granted, I love the first two albums, not taking anything away from them, but I fell in love with the first half of this album.
Good. That's so good. I totally agree with the Stone Cold Crazy. I knew this was performed by Metallica before. I had no idea that I was listening to a Queen song when I was listening to Metallica.
I didn't either. And I knew that whole album was covers, but some of the songs I just knew who they were, like the Misfits and Bob Seger and some other acts, but some of them I didn't know and didn't care. I was just like this out because honestly, that Garage Inc. album rocked in my opinion. I thought it was great.
Oh yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Damn good. One of the best covers albums I've ever heard.
Oh, I think so too. And I'm going to say regarding this album, the Stone Cold Crazy, it was so far ahead of its time.
Oh,
this might be one of my favorite songs of the 70s.
I think I would agree, partially because is this song in particular, is this the beginning of thrash metal? Because that's technically the kind of metal that Metallica played whenever, not during Garage Inc., but when Metallica covered this song took Metallica back to the 80s and was just like total thrash. And I was just like, man, Queen they were on to something that I don't think everyone was on to. Like there was this blend of like punk and metal and hardcore, and nobody even knew really what those words even meant back then in 1975 or 6. Punk was on the verge, but it's like it wasn't a household term. And Queen takes all this stuff and makes this song. And I'm with you. I was like, this shit. When this came out, how many jaws dropped?
Oh yeah.
Of people that heard this song was like, what is this? It's fast, it's heavy, but still melodic. But yet this guy still got some gravel in his throat. What is this? And what it was badass.
Oh, it's badass. And I don't even know what to compare this to back. And when did this album come out? 1974 is what I have written down.
It is 74, and it's crazy that song came out in 1974.
Oh my God. It just totally kicked my ass. Just holy shit. So good. And to go from one end of the spectrum was stone cold crazy to bring back that Leroy Brown, which I was not a big fan of, that ragtime New Orleans sound, to go from that range of style. I mean, like I said earlier, there's nothing that these guys cannot do. I mean, they're just showcasing their talent. It's beyond talent, in my opinion. Um, Back up a few steps, flick of the wrist, kind of dark theatrical vibe. I like it. It still has my attention. Lily of the Valley. It's a pretty melody. I don't use the term pretty too much, but it's a
Right.
pretty melody. I enjoy it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Before you transition songs, let me answer a question real quick, because for some reason the chat's not letting me.
Yes.
But my dude, we'll just call him the repeater because that's what he does.
Okay.
Mr. Butcher. He asked what is the next episode going to be on, so I can follow along.
Sure.
We love when people follow along. And I was trying to respond. We don't know yet, but we usually at least come close to figuring it out by the end of the episode. That way you can listen along with us. If we don't come up with it by the end of the episode, we announce it the moment that we know what band is next. That way you can listen along with us and agree with us or not agree with us. So there's that. Hicks, my bad. Continue.
No worries at all. Track number 7, In the Lap of the Gods. First 20 seconds, Avenged Sevenfold tone. It's not Avenged Sevenfold. I can't speak. Holy shit.
That Mick Ultra's powerful, son.
Oh, it's wicked crazy. I'm telling you.
It's what the rap song Get Fucked Up, Stay Fucked Up was about. Actually. It was Michelob Ultra.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well,
no, not really.
I'm on a sissy ass diet. That's why I'm drinking that. So yeah, I feel more for that. But the first 20 seconds reminds me so much of the Avenged Sevenfold. It's not their tone. It's Brian May's tone that Avenged Sevenfold is mimicking.
They had their influences, and I'm pretty sure they named Queen as one. So.
Oh yeah. I thought there's a little bit of a vocal effect in this song. I thought, is Freddie Mercury slipping in some of his alien persona? Or is this, it could possibly be.
But you mentioned earlier production. You said something about the production of one of the tracks. I just want to throw out real quick the production quality on all 3 of these first 3 albums, and actually just beyond. And one of which blew me away. The production value is just out of this world. Like this shit sounded like it could have been created yesterday. There was no raw, tape sound with fuzz in the background or like distant, unless they wanted it to sound distant. There was no issues with the production quality of this. Not even the ones, the albums before getting remasters. It still sounded fantastic all the way around. So just wanted to throw that out real quick.
No, that's a very good point. And you pick up on that. You're more of an audio guy than I am. You pick up on that more than I do. That's a very good point. I totally understand that and respect that. I know we've listened to some other artists during this time, and not to throw out any names, but I know we mentioned the kind of the production, the audio was kind of sounded cheap. Not really as good as it should be.
Yeah, the Stones, as much as I hate to say it, the Stones were lacking heavily. Yeah, and that doesn't take away from them as a band, but the Rolling Stones production value was a step below the Beatles in a band like this. Tom Petty was mostly good, but there were a couple albums, namely the one with the guy in the sickle in the field. I can't freaking ever remember the name of that one, but
I think that was it.
Value
sickle
was
guy in the field.
Sickle Guy in the Field by Tom Petty. That album, Fireball. No more Fireball for me. But the production value on that was just subpar.
Yeah.
Beastie Boys, Paul's Boutique production value. Elite, there's just elite. Yeah, there's just certain bands that have it together on the production value, and sometimes they just don't. So this Queen didn't lack in that area at all. You heard every sound perfectly clear, whether it's on headphones or a cell phone speaker. So
it's
I digress.
Yeah, it's so good. Overall, man, these guys still have my attention. I'm
Oh,
wanting more.
absolutely.
Give me some more Queen.
Give me some more.
Yeah, so that's basically. And do you have anything else regarding this album?
Just to add that through 3 albums, Queen still has not made a bad song.
Yeah, and how often
And
does that happen?
it hasn't happened yet because I'm thinking about all the bands we've listened to.
Sure.
And I didn't love the early shit from the Beatles or the Stones because it had that whole, I want to hold your hand vibe, and it was okay. But I consider some of those songs to not necessarily be bad, but bad for me. And Queen didn't make any songs bad for me through these first 3 albums. Tom Petty's first couple albums, I don't think there was a bad song, but I think by album 3, I might have found one. So currently, Queen might be the champion of the longest run without a bad song.
You have to do a high pitch. They are the champions. You have to do that right now with their They are the champions when you're high pitch.
Champions.
That's it. That's it. Thank you. That's it. I can't do that, or I would have.
Terrible. It's much better when I sing lyrics that make sense, like Rainbow and Jack. Fucking Dio, you son of a bitch. Yeah. I would never know how to do that without you.
I'm sorry for putting you on the spot there.
I don't give a damn.
I didn't mean to do that.
I don't give a damn.
So yeah, we're blasting through the first 3 albums. I'm still hooked. Not a bad song.
Still hooked, man. Still
not
hooked.
A bad song.
Album 4, I will say the title worries me a tiny bit.
I totally agree.
Night at the Opera. Knowing that this is the album with Bohemian Rhapsody on it worries me a little bit.
Sure.
Because I'm like, I will say, there are some songs that were hits by this band that I am sick of.
Sure.
Some way, somehow, Bohemian Rhapsody is not one of them. I don't know why, but I have never once turned that song off. I've heard it 1,000 billion times, but it's one of those songs that is so impressive that I just don't want to listen to it all the time. So don't get me wrong there. It's not like I never play the song intentionally.
Oh, I totally agree.
But when it comes on, I never turn it off because it's just one of the most impressive compositions of sound that exists in music or recorded sound, period. Sure. So I never turn that shit off. But I was worried about this album.
Me too.
Just because I was like, okay, we're going to transition into something new here. We're going to go into a little bit of a new style. Like, I know Bohemian Rhapsody's here. A Night at the Opera lets me know that Freddie Mercury wants to get a little more operatic. I don't know if that's a word. He wants to get a little more belty and bellowy. And I'm like, I'm a tiny bit worried, but at the same time, this motherfucker can do it. So, and make me like it. And that's what he did.
Yeah.
That's what he did. I mean, I did not have much fear after starting the album, which opens up with Papa Slowfingers with the mouse here. Night at the Opera opens up with Death on Two Legs, which is one of my favorite songs by Queen. That opened up, and I was like, God damn! Band rocks.
So far ahead of its time, the guitar playing, everything's so good. It's just
I fanboyed out, man. I heard this song and I fanboyed out. I was just like ready to buy t-shirts, ready to go buy a mustache to put on and shave the rest of my beard and just get my teeth enlarged. I was ready to go the whole 9 yards on this one and just, I want to be Freddie. I want to be Freddie. This shit's so good, man. Yeah. The song was so good. This is it. This is where, and we'll talk about each track, but this is where Queen firmly supplants themselves as a superpower to be reckoned with in music.
Oh, I totally agree. And to back up a few steps, the Bohemian Rhapsody, I totally agree. I don't go looking for this song, but when I hear it, it gets my attention. And This might be one of the greatest songs written.
It is. I don't even want to put might in there. I mean, it's one of the greatest songs, compositions, anything, lyrics, vocals, instruments. It's just one of the best things ever recorded.
And I can't even think of anything to compare it to.
There is nothing. I mean, this was like one of the most groundbreaking songs I've ever heard. And I'm pretty positive I heard it for the first time on Wayne's World.
Exactly.
And I still was like, man, and you watch straying a little bit here.
Stray.
You watch Wayne's World and you see these two, you want to assume heavy metal guys listening to this song in the car. And you're as a kid, I'm just like, what is this song? Exactly. And then it gets, and I was like, that was one fucking hell of a change. And they're rocking out. Like, what is this? What kind of devil magic is going on in this car? It's just a sound you just haven't heard. They're just so talented. They just have that, like, the perfect idea of what, I hate to make it sound like elitist, but they have the perfect idea of what complicated music should sound like.
Oh, exactly.
And I couldn't come up with that in my wildest dreams, but yet this band came up with it, performed it to perfection, and remembered it. And just
remembered it.
Shit's nuts, man.
Oh yeah, I don't understand that, and I never will. And I'm completely, I understand that I'll never be able to. It's just, I'm speechless. I don't know what to say. I'm tripping on my words.
This first episode where we both got off. I mean, that's what it boils down to. Like, this is the first episode of this podcast. Pants have been soiled.
That's right. It's just, and I'm like you, the title of this song, I thought, oh shit. I thought, what's going on?
Yeah.
You mentioned the Death on Two Legs ahead of its time. Sunday Afternoon. I thought this is a little bit Sgt. Pepperish, but it's still good.
Tons of Pepper.
This band still has my attention 100%.
Even with the style change. And it wasn't a full style change. Like you said, we saw hints of it on the prior 3 albums. Like, we saw this coming, but we didn't know how much they would expand on what we saw coming. And they expanded big time. Yeah, this song's completely different, and I'm still completely tuned in.
Yeah, me too. I totally agree. Track number 3, I'm in Love with My Car. This is Taylor singing.
Yep.
The raspy vocals reminds me so much of Rod Stewart, which is a good thing. I like that. Yeah. I like that raspy type of voice. The lyrics were kind of quirky, but I overlooked that. It was a pretty good song. The track, You're My Best Friend. I've heard this before. How could you not like this? I mean, it's just a feel-good song. I'm not intentionally going to go looking for this song, but if I hear it, I want to tap my foot. That's just a sweet song, just a good melody. I have notes regarding track number 6, Sweet Lady, the music. If Rush and Leonard Skinner collided, this is what it would sound like, which is a good thing. Just a good song. Then we go to Seaside Rendezvous. And we go back to the New Orleans ragtime jam with the kazoo and the mix. The guys are just having a good time. They're just showing what they can. It doesn't matter what you throw at them. They're going to play. They're going to make a song out of it.
Yeah.
The Prophets song. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
One of my favorites. That's all I wanted to say. Prophet song again.
Oh my God.
Prog rocky, 8 minutes, 20 seconds long. You can figure out what this Bart guy is all about for sure. But this song just fucking knocked me on my ass. I was like, this is a journey. This is just another fantastic composition. If this album comes out, but Bohemian Rhapsody didn't come out before it was released, I hear the Prophet song and I think, this shit's blowing my mind. I've never heard anything like this. And then Bohemian Rhapsody comes later. But the Prophet song grabbed my attention as if I'd never heard this band before. And I was like, what are they doing? Like, this is some elite fucking music, man. This is where it's at.
Yeah, I agree so much. The lyrics Woe, people of the earth, listen to the warning, children of the land. I thought, were they singing to the universe or was the universe singing to us? And the harmonies, just everything. I thought, oh my gosh, this song kicks my ass. I'm glad it kicked your ass. That's
Kicked
so
my
good to
ass.
hear. That's
Kicked
so good
my
to
ass.
hear. Yeah, it's just unbelievable. Just
by the way, folks, we almost changed the name of this podcast to Kicks My Ass. We almost did it.
Yeah.
We might change it to the Prophet Song Podcast. I don't know, but this song just blew me away, man.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It blew me away. I almost wish I'd never heard Bohemian Rhapsody before doing this. That way I could have heard Prophet Song, followed up a few songs later by Bohemian Rhapsody.
Sure. Yeah, it's just I'll go back and revisit that jam. Just wow, I loved it. So good.
By the way, James Ward must be on vacation.
He must be. Where's he at? He's our number one fan.
Number one fan, not here tonight.
He's not.
There's someone watching. I don't know who it is. You could type and tell us who it is. That way we know who our number 2 fan is.
Yeah.
But our number 1 fan is gone. He must be listening to Queen. But yeah, the Prophet song was great. Love of My Life. I don't know if you add thoughts after I'm done if you want, but I thought
no, go ahead.
Everything you've named after Death on Two Legs, I thought was just a solid, eye-opening jam. Nothing crazy until the Prophet song, but the Prophet song just hit me like a ton of bricks. Yeah. Love of My Life was good. Good Company's good. Bohemian Rhapsody, of course, is one of those all-time great songs. God Save the Queen's fine. They still haven't made a bad song, and we're on album number 4.
Yeah. God Save the Queen. My notes say no, Queen Save Us. It's just... Man, I'm ready for more. I'm still chasing that, and I'm worried at this point.
Because at some point, like you would think, this shit's gonna fall off.
So at this point, I'm starting to get a little bit scared.
I am too, because it's like, how much better can they get? Now, also, as far as ranker and album rankings go, this is generally claimed as their best album, not because of Bohemian Rhapsody alone, but because of the just stylistic diversity that they showed on this album. There's still elements of metal, still elements of hard rock. There's elements of the ballads. There's elements of pop. There's elements of this sound no one's ever heard before. They kind of just did it all on this album. They did it all. Every genre until the 80s, at least, that Queen was able to do and put on record was in this album. And it is quite magical. I mean,
it was magical. It's such a trip. And
not my favorite album from this episode, I will add, but it is magic.
Sure. And I'd like to also include, I read up to this point, this was the most expensive album ever produced.
Read that too.
Okay.
And you could tell there was a lot of like fade outs of Freddie Mercury's voice and lots of like overdubs of his voice 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Roger Taylor tracks from the time we started the episode through now, layers and layers and layers. I read on one of Roger Taylor's tracks, he recorded like 17 different vocals for it and layered them, and was just this band definitely wanted to show something to the world, and they're accomplishing it through 4 albums.
Speaking of showing something to the world, I have to go take a piss. I'll be right back. Please.
You're going to show if you want to show something to the world, you take a piss here.
The announcement was me showing.
You just stand up and let.
I can piss in this cup while we talk, but I don't want to do that. So please
I'll wait
continue. Please continue. Maybe sing some Dio tunes while I'm gone, and I'll be right
back. That'll get him peeing. Yeah. So for once, I don't have a lot to add while Hicks is gone and peeing, but Freddie Mercury just blows me away completely. So this album wasn't my favorite. A Night at the Opera, I understand the critical acclaim. I understand why ranking websites have it as the best Queen album that there is. I do disagree with that. I think they've done a more diverse album that is coming up, but at the same time, I highly appreciate this album through and through. I will take you through my playlist that I've made so far. I've got Keep Yourself Alive and Great King Rat off the first album. Those are jams I can't live without.
Good
March
stuff.
of the Black Queen off the second one, a jam I can't live without. Sheer Heart Attack chalked up 4 tracks, the most so far. Killer Queen, Tenement Funster, Flick of the Wrist, and Stone Cold Crazy. Those are tracks I can't live without. This album that we just talked about, Death on Two Legs, The Prophet Song, Bohemian Rhapsody, tracks I can't live without. So the count so far is 2 off the first album, 1 off the second, 4 off the third, and 3 off the fourth. That by no means means that I didn't love every single song, because I did. Those are just tracks that kind of blew me away. Now we transition to the 5th album. What is the guy? Help me out here, Hicks. Both of these albums, A Night at the Opera and the next album was A Day at the Races. These were both plays off of Marx. Was it the Marx Brothers or?
Oh, I have no idea.
Someone Marx. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Let's see. I know it was a play on something. No Wikipedia, but A Day at the Races. This is the next album that we hear. The cover looks very similar to A Night at the Opera. It's just black instead of white. The artwork literally similar, which I like that. It kind of tells me like, hey, this could have been a double album, but we didn't do that. We released them, year after year. And Tie Your Mother Down, first track on that one, another banger. They seem to really know how to open an album at this point, because every single album opens up. I think I need to go back and double check, but I'm pretty positive that every album opens up with a banger.
I agree with that. Yeah. It's, get your attention right off the bat. That's what I enjoy. I don't want to dig through 7 tracks before I get to something that's going to really grab my interest, grab my attention. So I appreciate that. The Night at the Opera and A Day at the Races, taking their names from Marx Brothers films. Okay, I did not
can't
know
say that I've seen a Marx Brothers film, but I know the Marx Brothers name.
Okay.
But yeah, so A Day at the Races, Tie Your Mother Down, good song. You Take My Breath Away, good song. Long Away, good song. You have anything to add on those first 3 before I go into a coma on the 4th one?
I actually got to the point, track number 3, Long Away. I thought this is probably, and it may have been dependent on my mood at the time, but this is the first Queen song that I really didn't get into a whole lot.
Which one?
Track number 3, which is Long Away.
Long Away. So are you considering this a bad song, or just one you didn't quite feel? The first one you didn't feel.
I don't want to say it's a bad song. It's just I kind of started, and it may have been dependent on my mood at this time, but I just really didn't dig it a whole lot. And to summarize this, I'm going to jump ahead to summarize this whole album. I don't want to diss this album, but it really wasn't for me. It kind of sounded. They sounded tired and uninspired. I'm kind of with you there. This album in particular didn't really blow me away, but at the same time, I will go ahead and say it, I still didn't find a song that I just downright didn't like. Good.
I still liked every track on this album, but I was not crazy about this album. Like there was this is the, if you want to consider it a drop-off point, this was kind of a drop-off point. I love the song The Millionaire Waltz.
Okay.
Yes, it takes from other sources to get its material, but the guitar sound on this song, even when he was doing the waltz on guitar, just was so clean and so crisp and so clear and so well done. And the timing was just beautiful. was kind of a beautiful track for me. So that one hit me pretty hard. Somebody to Love, I thought, was a really great track off this album. But for the first time, this album was just kind of like, I don't know that I'll continue listening to this one much. To this point, this would be the one I go back to the least, even though I still think every song is good. There's still not a bad track for me.
Sure.
5 albums in, no bad tracks in my opinion. But this is the one I would revisit the least.
Sure, I totally agree. This is probably my least favorite album out of the albums that we've reviewed so far.
Yeah.
But it's still Queen. I still respect it so much.
Yeah, it's still Queen, still good. If this would have been the first album, which is kind of weird to say, if it would have been the first album, I still would have been like, this opened my eyes, because this is a band that sounds unlike any band I've heard before. So, I mean, the sound is still there. You can't take Queen away from Queen so far. But this is the weakest of the 7, in my opinion, that we've done for this episode.
Sure. Yeah. And to follow up, I'm so thankful that the previous album, A Night at the Opera, I'm glad that they didn't split it up to make 2 kind of okay albums. They went for one. It was just a total straight through ass kicker.
Right.
And oh my God, how do you follow up with something like that? I mean, it's just maybe
this wasn't quite the way, but it's not like it's a bad follow-up. It just didn't build upon what they did on album 4.
Sure. Maybe if this album was like number 12 in the lineup, I might enjoy this more. But I was still on that high from the previous album, and I was chasing that. And I didn't get the satisfaction out of this album, which is totally okay.
Yeah, it is okay. I mean, it's again, nothing I would turn off. The 2 songs I really liked from this that made my playlist are also probably 2 of the ones, compared to the ones that came before it off the previous 4 albums, they didn't really hit anywhere close to the ones that came before it. So it was almost kind of like, I need a couple songs off this album that I really love, and I didn't want to force it.
Yeah.
But I kept listening to see what those were, and then they stood out to me after a while. But like, if I had to throw these 2 songs away instead of taking one away from the previous 4 albums, I would throw the 2 songs off this album away. So all in all, if you're going to call it their weakest offering yet, this is it. But I hate to even say that, because it's still good.
I do too.
It's still good.
Like I said, I don't want to diss this album just out of the respect for the band, because
we're at the point to where we're comparing Queen to Queen.
You're exactly right.
That's just where we're at. They've put out so much good shit by this point. We're now at the point where we're comparing Queen to Queen. And this is the weakest Queen so far, but that means it's better than most bands.
Yeah, who else can you compare them to? There's nobody.
No, there's not.
That's a very good point.
I think we've said all we can say on that one. News of the World is next, and I will say, We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. I'm sick of both of those songs. I can't hardly listen to either one of them. That's not taking anything away. They're both all-time great songs. I recognize that, and I know that. But like Smells Like Teen Spirit, I've heard it too much.
Oh, yeah.
So great songs, fantastic songs. They deserve a spot in the playlist. They should be there, but I can't do it because I don't want to hear them anymore, because I've just heard them too much. But both of those songs are badass. There's no taking that away from them. It's just one overplayed to hell and back, both songs.
Sure.
You go to a sports stadium, you're going to hear this shit.
Exactly.
Both of them. We Are the Champions. That's a sports song. We Will Rock You. Fucking football song. Go to a stadium. You hear people, everybody in the stadium going with their feet, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I'm over it. I don't hate them. I just don't want to hear them anymore. But what's chances that's track 1 and 2 off the 6th album? Back to back, just absolute all-time greats on this 6th album. Yeah, I'm done with them, but all-time greats nonetheless. 1 and 2. Crazy.
Yeah.
Strongest opening to an album ever, possibly.
Oh, possibly. And the We Will Rock You, I agree with you 100%. I want to not really compare this, but you brought up the Smells Like Teen Spirit, which I totally agree. I can't listen to that song anymore.
No.
but it's a brilliant song, one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
The White Stripes, Seven Nation Army, you know, that
the rhythm
sports arena.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of
that hard thudding, that hit that just gets at someone going like dun, dun,
it's like
dun,
a war chant. It
dun,
kind of
dun,
ruined it for me, you know, just because of the overplayed. But I want to say the solo, which I don't know how much is played a whole lot during like the sports, you know, games or whatever.
Probably none, honestly.
Probably none, but this guitar solo, this is one of my favorite guitar solos of all time.
Yeah.
It's just,
there's still something good to take away from it because is that damn good. It's just overplayed.
Do I want to hear it again? No, not really. I'm not going to go looking for it, but when I hear it, it's just one of the greatest guitar solos ever, in my opinion. We Are the Champions. It's magnificent. I don't want to hear it again. You know, I can hear it in my mind already. Moving on down the line, Sheer Heart Attack, and you brought this up offline. Song by,
and I found out why.
Okay, I'm anxious to hear. I'm going to go ahead and say that you brought up the point. I wasn't at this point during the review, but you brought this up offline. You pointed out that the drummer named this track that's already an album name, Sheer Heart Attack. And please explain why, because I don't know.
I expected a complicated explanation for why the song Sheer Heart Attack was on the 6th album and not the 3rd album that was called Sheer Heart Attack.
Yes.
The simple reason is the song was not complete at the time of the release of the album Sheer Heart Attack. So somewhere between album 3 and 6, they finished this song and add it to News of the World, and it's a fucking banger.
Why didn't they name it News of the World?
I don't know. I don't know. But I kind of like that they didn't, because it was kind of fun for me to start listening to this album and see Sheer Heart Attack. Why is this on album 6 and not album 3, which shares that name? Either way, fuck shit was a banger.
Yeah, I agree. A few songs, there's nothing that I really disliked. And man, the kind of Get Down, Make Love song, it was just kind of odd to me a little bit.
Don't you fucking talk bad about that song. That's on my playlist, son.
That's okay. I understand that and I respect that. That's okay.
Hicks, you need to get down and make love. That's what you need to do.
Who doesn't need to?
I love Get Down, Make Love. Like, it took me a few listens because like just the words Get Down, Make Love were just so cheesy to me. But after listening to the song a few times, I'm like, God dang, that's a good song. Spread Your Wings was a banger for me too.
Oh, that was a good song. Got to Sleeping on the Sidewalk. I thought this is so much pre-80s ZZ Top. Not that She's Got Legs, but the early ZZ Top.
Right.
Which is ironic because Billy Gibbons' band that toured with Jimi Hendrix was called the Moving Sidewalks. Sleeping on the Sidewalk. So I thought that's kind of ironic, but I thought this is you know, it was fun. It was a fun song. The track Who Needs You, at first I was like, okay, here we go with the Jimmy Buffett tune. But Brian May's classical guitar skills are nasty.
They are nasty.
I thought, oh my gosh, this is so good.
They are nasty.
It exceeded my expectations. I was scared at first, but it just came back around and I loved it. That's pretty much the highlights from my review regarding this album.
I'll add a couple. My Melancholy Blues was a solid bluesy song. No problem there. But what I really wanted to add was on my version, which I think you're with me now on YouTube Music. I think you've switched over from Apple Music to that. On this album, I don't know. I don't believe it's a deluxe version. I think it's got to be something because this track is from 91. But on this version of this album, there's a track 12 and it's We Will Rock You, 1991 bonus remix, Ruined by Rick Rubin is the title. The title actually says Ruined by Rick Rubin. There's some Beastie Boys shit in here. I don't know if you listen to that or not.
I didn't see that.
There's samples from the Beastie Boys on this Rick Rubin version of We Will Rock You that he supposedly ruined in 1991. And I fucking enjoyed the shit out of it.
Did you like it?
Well, just because there was Beastie Boys shit in there. And just as an update, I didn't want to fucking, poop on Queen's parade at the beginning of the show. I'm still listening to the Beastie Boys. Still listening to them. Like, just, I can't fucking stop. But that made me happy that Rick Rubin messed around with We Will Rock You and threw in some Beastie Boys beats off of that. It was really cool. Besides that, I have no other thoughts on the album. I thought News of the World was very good. Small tidbit about this album. This 1977, when this was released, was kind of the beginning of the golden age of punk rock, which I'm a big punk rock fan. So I guess punk rockers like the Sex Pistols and other bands were criticizing Queen for starting out with kind of a bit of a punk rock bravado and then transitioning slowly to a day at the races sound or a night at the opera sound. And I guess Queen felt like they should respond by just putting out a banger from top to bottom called News of the World. They're like, fuck you, Johnny Rotten. We'll show you. We're going to put out a song where we stomp our feet on the ground. And that becomes part of the track. So Queen basically put this album out not only to get back to the rock roots a little bit, and it worked because it's a damn good album, as they all are so far, but also, to just kind of prove the point, like, we can do what you do and do it better. And there's a few tracks on here, well, a handful of tracks on here that have some punk rock roots that Queen almost might have started a little bit. Who knows? I think they sounded punk on some of their tracks on the first album. But they're like, you know what? So screw you guys. We can do what you do and do it better. And I wouldn't question Queen at all. If Queen said I can do what Smash Mouth does, but do it better, I'd be like, I believe you guys, but don't do it. Please don't do it. But I believe you. Don't fucking do that to me. But yeah, this band could do whatever they wanted. So for a bunch of punk bands to criticize Queen, I'm with Queen on this one. Piss off. I guarantee they can make a better punk album than you. Guarantee Freddie Mercury can make a better punk album than any of you guys.
That's like chucking toothpicks at a giant.
Yeah. That's like that TikTok video I showed you with the short fellas throwing javelins into that poor guy's beard.
Yeah, that's just
inside joke. But yeah, I mean, Queen can do whatever they want. So that brings us from, the comeback rock album, the comeback harder rock album, in my opinion, which worked out really well. But the problem is none of the albums were bad to begin with. So for them to switch gears was just them switching gears. It's welcome no matter what they bring to the table. Yeah. Then they come with the album Jazz. I'm just going to say right up front, out of all the albums we listened to, this is my favorite. And I don't know if that's going to be a popular opinion or not, but I absolutely love this album, and it's got more songs on my playlist than any other album we've listened to so far. So Jazz by Queen, which again, I'd never seen the album cover. I didn't know what this album was about. Released in 1978, their seventh album. Had no idea what this album was all about. I put this album on. It opens up with Mustafa. I'm like, Lion King hasn't been invented yet. What is going on here? What is this Hakuna Matata bullshit?
Oh my God. I can't believe you said that, because that's exactly what I thought.
I wanted to find Timon and Pumbaa, or I don't even Timon and Pumbaa. Fuck beers talking. I wanted to find them and be like, did you guys really collaborate with Freddie Mercury and Queen? Because this song Mustafa, wasn't there a Mustafa on the Lion King?
It was Mufasa.
Mufasa, my bad. No. Anyways, this track, if I could understand this motherfucker, it would probably be on my playlist. I don't understand a damn word of it, but you know what? It's a good fucking song regardless.
Yeah.
Hakuna Matata, bitches.
That's right. Yeah, it's I agree. Yeah.
It's a good song. And it's a It's a different start to an album for this band. Like if you've listened to all 5 albums of Queen so far, 6 albums, I'm sorry, and you put this on and Mustafa opens up, you're probably thinking like, okay, so they broke all this new ground that's never been broken before. Is that not enough for you motherfuckers? Now you got to go speaking in another language and like chanting African hymns at me. What is going on? Toto, was Toto even out at this time? I have no idea. But Mustafa is a good song, just saying in a language I don't understand, and I don't really care to learn another language except for Mexican because I think I need to learn that and I'm interested in learning it. But whatever Mustafa comes from, I don't have the time to learn.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have time to learn Spanish anyways. I think I called it Mexican. I don't have the time to learn Spanish, so I sure as hell ain't going to learn Mustafa language because I don't have time. But I did enjoy the song. It took me a few listens, but I was jamming after a few listens.
It would not surprise me if this was Freddie Mercury's personal language that nobody else knows. You know? It would not surprise me.
It very well could be. The words Timon and Pumbaa could be in this song, and I just missed it.
Yeah.
But good song followed by Fat Bottom Girls. Yeah, that's an all-time great too. I mean, just the fact that we're already getting to so many all-time greats that this band sung, it's starting to get out of hand a little bit how many great songs this band has put out by this time. But Fat Bottom Girls, I may be a little sick of it. I'm a little sick of it, but I fucking love this song. And Jealousy was good. And the reason I even mentioned Jealousy was a buffer to Bicycle Race. I will never get sick of Bicycle. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night just thinking like, I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride my bike.
It's great.
I loved riding bikes when I was young. So this song actually has a shit ton of meaning for me because I fucking love bicycles. Freddie Mercury fucking loves bicycles. And I love the song called Bicycle Ride.
I thought, who in the hell, what kind of asshole is trying to prevent Freddie Mercury from riding his bicycle?
I'll throw a fucking tire iron in that dude's spokes. I will throw a tire iron in his spokes. You let Freddie ride his bike.
No doubt.
I love this song, man. It's the most simple, goofy shit that's a fucking hit that I've ever heard in my life, except for All Star by Smash Mouth, which Queen could do better.
Queen could do better. I'm going to back up a few steps. The Fat Bottom Girls, I'm sick of it, but I love this song so much.
It's a good song. I like
it so much. It's like a war chant. We're recruiting girls with fat bottoms to join the squad. I've heard it so many times, but it's just a good song.
And let me add that even though Freddie Mercury liked bottoms of all genders, he did also like fat bottom girls. This song is not a lie. He liked fat bottom girls as well as fat bottom guys. So, you know, it's one of those songs that's kind of confusing at first, but open your mind a little bit and realize that some people like other people of all genders. Don't know where I was going with that, but it's one of those questions. Like when I was younger, I was like, why is he singing about fat bottom girls if he doesn't swing that way? Freddie Mercury swung both ways. And I appreciate the fact that he likes fat bottom girls because I've always loved fat bottom girls.
Hey, I don't give a shit what Freddie Mercury likes because what he gave to me as far as these songs is such a gift. I could give two shits.
Yeah, I don't care about that either. But I was confused growing up. I was like, because I knew early on, you know, that Freddie Mercury at the time, his partner was male.
Yeah.
And I heard fat bottom girls. I was like, I am so confused. Was he hiding? No, he wasn't hiding. He liked fat bottom girls too. I fucking love Freddie. Like he's just the dude he just brings it all to the table. And this is kind of my transition, not just music, not just lyrics. Like the guy was a humanitarian.
Sure.
He was a great fucking dude. And he loved everyone in every way that he could. And I just have such a, even though I didn't grow up in that time period, I almost have an emptiness in me knowing that he's gone.
Yeah.
Like I wish I could have seen him grow into a older man like Brian May. Cause you look at Queen now and they're touring with Adam Lambert. And something me and my wife were talking about last night. This sounds more like into the episode shit, but I just got to get it out there.
Get it out.
The fact that Queen tours with Adam Lambert, but they're called Queen and Adam Lambert is not only the most respectful thing possible for Freddie Mercury's legacy,
Yes.
they're also still fucking good with
Yes.
Adam Lambert. Adam
Right.
Lambert can sing like it. I know the dude came from like a reality singing show. I think it was American Idol. But if you're going to transition as an older band, like who are we going to sing with after Freddie Mercury? I'm not the biggest fan. I don't know that much about Adam Lambert, but I know that dude can fucking sing anything.
Sure.
What a great guy to add to your band after the fact of Freddie Mercury passing away. Not only is the band talented as shit, they know how to recruit talented as shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just blown away. I've watched some videos on this journey of them singing with Adam Lambert, and I'm like, how do you recognize that that's the right, because he's the right guy for that band today.
I agree.
Freddie Mercury would be, but he's gone.
Sure.
But Adam Lambert's the right man for the job today. And it's just crazy, just the eye that they have for talent and the ear that they have for talent. I don't know where Freddie Mercury even came from. I don't know if I probably should have looked it up. I don't know if they were all childhood friends like the Beastie Boys. I don't know where they found this dude. But for Brian May and Roger Taylor, I'm sorry I don't know the bassist name.
All right.
Bassist just slapped the bass. But for these guys to find each other was just incredible. Just incredible.
It's just, I say it all the time, the perfect storm. The planets were aligned, and it was just the right time at the right point of time. Man, it's just unbelievable. And it's one in a 999 billion or even a trillion. You know, the odds of this ever occurring again is just unfathomable.
Slim to none.
Yeah, it's just
actually it's probably none, because I just don't see rock coming back as ferociously as it began in the 60s and 70s. I just don't think it'll ever happen again. I think Freddie Mercury, for me, will go down as the greatest that ever did it. For me.
For me as well. Yeah. Yeah.
But this album, Jazz, I don't know what other thoughts you got. We've only went through a few songs.
Yeah.
Bicycle Race being the last of the ones that we've went through.
Yeah.
Give me your rundown. We'll get back to normal here. Give me your rundown on this album.
As far as the positive remarks, which the positive outnumber the negative, let me entertain you. I thought this song should have been the album opener. Just a tornado of
Over Mustafa.
Mustafa. Yeah. Dead on Time. I thought the harmonies really didn't jive with the track. Great guitar halfway through the song. Let me see. Honestly, the rest of the album, it was just okay for me.
You son of a bitch.
That's all right. It's okay. But I thought the song, If You Can't Beat Them, I thought, oh shit, here comes the 80s sound.
Oh, let me see if that's the same note that I had, because I had, oh fuck yeah. Yeah, I have specifically written down, if you can't beat them, oh shit, this is where the 80s starts to come into play a little bit. Yeah. That's exactly what I got written down. I knew I had one song written down that was like, the 80s are coming, man. They're on their way. And we knew it. This is where it's coming. But that's the thing. I do know some of the 80s hits. Another one, Bites the Dust, is an 80s hit. Oh shit. Now I've got to look. Another one, Bites the Dust, is an 80s hit. Bear with me. I'm actually going to look, because I'm trying to make a quick point here. So
Crazy
the
Little
next
Thing Called Love.
Yeah, Crazy Little Thing Called Love is an 80s hit.
Under Pressure.
Under Pressure is a ladies hit. You're nailing these. There's a couple songs off the Works Radio Gaga.
I Want It All.
I Want It All. These are all 80s hits. And you know what? Those 80s hits, for the most part, are good.
Yes, they are.
So I I'm hesitant on the 80s because you can't knock it out of the park on all 80s. So if they've got multiple tracks that sound like the ones we just mentioned, we're in a bit of trouble possibly, but at the same time, we might not be. I don't know yet. But as far as jazz goes, Fat Bottom Girl, my playlist, I'll name those real quick and then I'll go through some others. But the reason I love this album the most, I basically just boiled down to the amount of tracks that made my Can't Live Without playlist. And I thought this album, a lot of folks said that A Night at the Opera was that album that showcased everything they could do. I actually thought it was jazz that could showcase everything they could do. Fat Bottom Girls, I thought was it's always been one of those all-time greats. Bicycle Race, one of my favorite Queen songs ever. I just love it. I don't know if it's because it's goofy or because I used to do the BMX tricks where I spun my bars and shit. Let Me Entertain You, I is a banger to me. Dead on Time, I love. Don't Stop Me Now is one of my favorite songs, period. I love that fucking song. I love Don't Stop Me Now. It's a little bit, it's creeping into that 80s sound, but I love that song. And more of that jazz. I don't know if you listen to more of that jazz, like enough to capture what was going on there, but more of that jazz turns from an original song into overdubbing pieces of other songs from this album in. Fat Bottom Girls has a sample in this song. Don't Stop Me Now, I think, had a sample in this song. Like they did this, I hate to say it because we've been stuck on them, but Queen went a little Beastie Boys and sampled their own shit and threw into the song more of that jazz. And I just found that to be brilliant. Like that happened at the second half of that song. And I was like, that's fucking brilliant. They didn't sample other people's shit for a song. They sampled their own shit and added to the last track of this album. And I thought that was magic to me. Like that was cool as shit that they sampled their own songs on the final track of an album that started out to be an original track and transitioned into a collage of hits from this album onto the last song. It was just really freaking cool.
That's very interesting, and I'll be totally honest, I didn't give this track much of a chance.
Go back and listen to it.
I certainly will.
The second half, they just throw in other snippets of their songs into this, and it's seamless the way they go in and out of those tracks. It's just really cool. I don't know if anybody ever did anything like it at the time.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll go back and listen. I think during this point, like I said, I'm going to be totally honest. I was hearing some of these songs, but I really wasn't listening. That
happens. That's the hard part of fucking cramming this shit into a week.
Yeah, I was tired at this point.
Yep. I was getting there, and I really had to focus on the last half of this album.
I didn't, but I will go back for sure.
I did that today.
Okay.
I bounced around all throughout the week. Me and you both did we didn't say the words queened out. I will say that, but I bounced around. And on this album in particular, I knew that I loved 3/4 of it, but I was like, I gotta really dig into these last 3 or 4 songs on this album. And I did. And this last one really surprised me. I was like, I guarantee it took me 4 or 5 tries because I was working Excel spreadsheeting the shit out of life. And then all of a sudden I'm listening to this song and I hear, Don't Stop Me Now. I was like, wait a minute, that's not the song I'm listening to. And I clicked on my browser and I was like, that is the song I'm listening to. Wait a minute, what's going on? So I backtracked all the way to the beginning and listened to it and just focused and was like, motherfucker, these dudes just sampled their own songs into a different song. And I was just kind of blown away. I was like, that's wild.
Sure.
Maybe they inspired the Beastie Boys.
Sure. Yeah. Inspired everybody else just about.
Maybe they inspired Smash Mouth. I don't know.
Yeah.
Shit's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm definitely going to go back. I did not give that a fair chance. I'll go back and listen to that.
Interesting. Last song of the album, Jazz. Give it a shot later and just hear what they did at the second half of the song.
And I should have mentioned up front, this is the only album that I did not go back and revisit. I didn't go back and skim through this one just because.
Love it.
That's good. And I I respect your opinion, and your opinion makes me want to go back and revisit it. I'm going to give it another chance. Maybe I'll throw a little something in during part 2 that, hey, I went back and listened to this and I feel differently about it.
It's a great part about this too, because you were feeling Paul's Boutique on the Beastie Boys episode more than me, and I went back and I understood after I went back.
Yeah,
that's the great give and take of this shit. Like, I know that you know music, so when I write down notes that Hicks really loved this fucking song, I need to go listen to it a little bit more. It doesn't mean I'm going to feel the same way, but it means there's a chance.
I totally agree. I feel the same exact way. You took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, I appreciate your enthusiasm towards different tracks, and it makes
I'm always excited.
Always want to go back. You know, well, if Barker likes this, probably good shit. I'm going to go back and listen.
Could
to
be.
It, so.
Could have also been, completely out of his mind or fucked up when he listened to it. It's just, it's hard to tell, but you got to find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was digging on jazz, man. I thought this album was, again, unpopular opinion, even though I saw it regularly in the top 5 for the most part of all their albums. Some, I think 1 or 2 lists had it at 2 or 3. But I felt this one, man. This album really got to me. To me, it was everything that A Night at the Opera should have been for me, even though I love that album too.
Yeah.
But I can safely say, in my opinion anyways, 7 albums in, I still have yet to find a bad song, which is just crazy to me.
There's so many good tracks. It's just unbelievable. And I had no idea.
I didn't either. I knew they were one of the greatest of all time because they've got, you could make a greatest hits album off the first 7 albums.
Sure.
So
exactly.
I mean, I knew that they were special, but I didn't. We learned multiple things. Brian May is one of the best guitarists to ever live.
Right.
Didn't know that. I didn't know that. If somebody would have said that to me, I'd have been like, oh, I get where you're coming from, but I didn't know it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Freddie Mercury was my favorite frontman. I knew that because I've watched the Live Aid concert. That's all you need to watch, really, to know that Freddie Mercury's the best frontman of all time. Have you seen the movie, the Bohemian Rhapsody movie?
Yes. I
have not.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I had it playing in the background while punching out some numbers. I did
fucking spreadsheets, man.
No shit, and it should be the other way around.
Right.
But I didn't focus as much as I should have with this. With that movie, I need to go back and rewatch it, and I will.
I need to watch it. I just part of the which we're slowly running out of time, but whatever. One of the things I read about the movie a little bit too. Sacha Baron Cohen was the original Freddie Mercury in the movie.
Okay,
and apparently he's phenomenal in it, but apparently he wanted to show all the shit that the band didn't want people to see. Not that they didn't want people to see, but they wanted to paint the band in the brightest of light, sort of like the Get Back movie that's coming out by Peter Jackson about the Beatles. Like everyone thinks the Beatles 69, 70 were just at each other's throats, and that may be true, but they're still good times. So Peter Jackson wants to show the good times on this new documentary. The band Queen wanted to show nothing but the good times on Bohemian Rhapsody. Sacha Baron Cohen wanted to show people when they had waitresses and waiters walking around with plates of Coke on top of their head. And the band's like, we don't really want that to be part of this movie. We want it to be a movie for everyone. We don't want anyone to turn it off. Like, I don't like cocaine.
Yeah.
So Sacha Baron Cohen exits the movie. Rami Malek enters the movie. Queen claims he was sent from heaven basically to do this movie and do Freddie Mercury. And I haven't seen it. I want to watch it. Yeah. I'm excited to watch it, especially after doing this deep dive.
And that's the thing.
But,
I'm going to be more interested in rewatching the movie and paying more attention. I'll be not where I saw the movie. I wasn't watching the movie. So I'll go back and I'll be more intrigued. And I have a feeling that it'll give me a new level of respect, although it's played by fictional characters, but it's still, or not fictional characters, but it's portrayed by actors. It's still going to really draw me in. But
that's the hard part too. The hard part is knowing, watching someone portray Freddie Mercury. Who can get that right?
Yeah.
Maybe this guy did, I don't know, but who could get that right? You know, it's like watching, I hate to throw this band out there because it's kind of like the general basis of the show, but like who could play Kurt Cobain? No one would be believable to me playing Kurt Cobain. And that's kind of where I'm at with Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
But now I want to see the movie, just more so to know more of the story of Queen and just forget about the actors. I need to put myself in that mindset that I'm watching what happened and just forget about the fact that I'm so high on Freddie Mercury that I don't want to see someone portray him.
Yeah, I agree. And it's, you know, when we reviewed the Beastie Boys after we watched the Beastie Boys documentary, it was two of the three Beastie Boys telling their own story. It wasn't a movie. I mean, this shit was real. It was the truth. It was raw. Whereas a movie, you know, Hollywood's got their paws into it a little bit. So, you know, you don't know what's
Bastards.
entirely true or not, you know. So, man, if I don't know who's still alive. I know Brian May's still alive. I don't know who else is alive.
May and Roger Taylor are still alive. I don't think the bassist is still part of that group. I think it's Brian May, Roger Taylor, Adam Lambert, and someone else.
Flea.
Yeah, it's Flea. You know?
Yeah.
That'd be great, actually.
That would be great. Yeah,
that would be great. But yeah, I don't know who else is a part of that whole thing. But
man, if they sat down and told, you know, if Brian May, and that might be something that's already done that I'm not aware of, but just I'd like to.
I love Brian May, but can we both agree that his haircut is literally the same as Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons? I mean, it's like what the dude? I know you've had it for a long time, but it's time to do something different.
It's the Gene Simmons, the hair helmet.
Gene Simmons, yeah. But helmet. I almost feel like just for fun, we might need to do Kiss. For fun.
Hey, I'm game.
For fun.
I'm game for sure. That's a good. I hope they don't have 298 albums, which
I don't
I'm sure
think
they
do.
Okay.
I don't think they do. No,
okay.
I don't think they do. But I mean, I'm pretty confident that I won't like it. Mm-hmm. But I'm also pretty confident it'll make for a funny ass episode.
I think it will too. Let's put that in a queue. Very good.
Because I know nothing, you know. You might be right, actually. Let's see, Kiss 74. God, they were around in 74.
I thought you were going to say 74 albums.
They might have quite a few albums, actually. We'll have to find out. I don't want to do a two-parter on Kiss.
I don't either.
God, no. But So just I'll state one thing before we end the episode.
Mm-hmm.
One, I'm worried about the 80s because I have heard some songs that didn't have a lot of Brian May and didn't have a lot of Roger Taylor and was more of like a drum machine with Freddie Mercury. Another One Bites the Dust is a fucking banger. No joke there.
Mm-hmm.
But I am a little worried. I'm a little interested. Mm-hmm. I think the next episode might probably likely be less exciting, but we'll have some good thoughts anyways. But between Queen and the Beastie Boys, which one hit you harder?
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that a tough question?
Oh, that's a tough question. Yeah. You know, I was running this through my mind. I thought if we did a recap, who would I put on the podium as far as number one, the number one artist that we reviewed? Oh my gosh, man. I'm gonna have to go to Beastie Boys.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think
so too.
Yeah.
Because I've always loved Queen, even though I didn't know their first discography.
Yeah.
The fact that I haven't always loved the Beastie Boys, but now do, carries a little more weight for me.
Yeah, and I'm
still listening to that shit.
I still am. I am too. And I always throw out this scenario, you know, I'm a moody type of guy, no matter what type of mood that I'm in. If I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm going to listen to the Beastie Boys. I can still listen to Queen. You know, they're going to fit into that slot no matter what type of mood I'm in. You know, we reviewed the Police. If I'm pissed off, I don't want to hear the Police. You know?
No, not at all. talk for about 20 seconds. I'm gonna go pull a Hicks. If you notice, I was spinning in my chair like a little fucking kid. Oh my god!
I thought you were. Go right ahead.
Elaborate more on the Beasties having a little more impact than Queen, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, it's just no matter what type of mood I'm in, like I stated. Like we reviewed the Stooges. I have to be in the mood for the Stooges, which is a great band. Did I hear Dio in the background? But the Beastie Boys, they're man, it's just unreal. Not the impact that I was expecting from the review, but just they're the only artist in the lineup that I'm still enjoying, that I'm still going back to. So Jay Barker's back.
I am. My wife happened to be outside on the porch when I went out there, and you said something. I was like, and she was like, I see a phone waving. I'm like, oh, hi.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, I'm kind of anxious to get into to part 2 of this. How many albums are there total, studio albums?
15. So we kind of left ourselves 8 at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'll be fine getting through them, because I have a feeling that some of those albums are going to be kind of one and dones, especially Heaven Made, I think, is the last album 15. And from what I have read, Brian May and Company took pieces of what Freddie Mercury had recorded, because he had passed by this time, and kind of made an album of remnants, sort of. So I imagine that's going to be kind of rough. It was generally ranked at the bottom of their discography, so I don't expect it to be much.
Mm-hmm.
Flash Gordon is an album in that second half, and it's mostly instrumental. There's only 2 songs with lyrics.
Okay.
So I imagine that'll be an easy one and done.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear the next album in the lineup, called The Game. That's the album with Another One Bites the Dust. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the other mentioned, maybe, what other album was I talking about that I really love one of the songs off of? I want to say it was that album. Let's see. No, not Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't want to listen to that shit. It's not even the real thing. But the album The Game has got Another One Bites the Dust, crazy little thing called Love. And it looks like that's it as far as the bangers go off that. So what was the other major song off of? Under Pressure was on Hot Space, generally regarded amongst their bottom couple of albums.
Right.
Oddly enough, the album A Kind of Magic serves a double purpose as a studio album and a soundtrack for Highlander. Didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's one of those situations there. The Miracle from 1989. I Want It All is on that one. And maybe I'm misquoting a song that I really, really loved. Possibly. But yeah, I'm not as excited about the second half of this Queen journey. I'm still excited because I want to know what the rest of it sounded like, but man, it's not going to compare to these first 7. There's no way.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
No chance.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. But there might be a few hidden gems in there. That's what we're searching for.
Might be some. Might be a lot of drum machines and me being pissed off for a week too. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, that happened with Tom Petty. I wasn't pissed off, but I was not thrilled after hearing the first half of his discography and then going to the second. You know, it left me wanting a little more. So we'll see. Freddie Mercury can pretty much do anything, but what I'm worried about is when you take away a lot of that Brian May classic rock guitar, like how good can it be without that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But we shall find out.
That's right.
That concludes first episode regarding Queen, our longest episode to date. We just pretty much got off all over this band.
We had a lot to talk about.
I mean, it was exciting. It was an exciting episode. We had an exciting week. This was kind of our shit. I can safely say what I was trying to say earlier. If somebody was to ask me what the best rock band of all time was, I'm going to say Queen. Reason being, if you ask me what the greatest band is of all time, I might be inclined to say the Beatles. But if you ask me what the greatest rock band of all time is, I'm probably going to say Queen. Difference being, the Beatles were a special entity that kind of came before everyone else and kind of planted their flag before anyone else had a chance to, and said, we are some of the greatest songwriters and musicians the earth has ever seen. Flag planted, totally respected.
Sure.
But as far as perfecting the sound of rock, that is Queen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
that is Queen.
I can imagine. You know, we missed out on the Beastie Boys. We missed out on seeing. We had more of an opportunity to see the Beastie Boys, but as far as Queen, I don't want to say we had as much of an opportunity, but man, to see them perform live.
Right.
Thank God for YouTube. But what an experience that this would have been.
Yeah. Yeah, and I on that note, I highly recommend just watching the Live Aid concert. You know, it's otherworldly. I mean, Freddie Mercury puts on a show. The guy knew how to entertain. He obviously knew how to sing. He didn't sound any worse for wear live than he did on an album. In fact, he probably sounded better because he's just that special of an artist.
And
I missed out.
Just the natural, he controlled that audience. Just one little person and that large group of people controlled that entire audience with minimal effort. Just natural.
Yeah. He didn't have to work at sounding like that. He just sounded like that. And who else have you seen walking around with a microphone? His special microphone pole that he'd pull out, and 3 feet of that thing was attached at all time. He's walking around stage just sticking that shit in the air singing. You just don't see that kind of showmanship, at least in that time period. Sure. The Beatles, you know, I watched them on the rooftop at the end of their career, and it was magical.
Sure.
But watching Freddie Mercury alone, not even like nothing, taking nothing away from the rest of the band, but like honing in on Freddie Mercury when he was performing live, nobody did that shit. That was Axl Rose shit before Axl Rose. And I'm not comparing the two because I think Axl Rose is shit in comparison. Sure. But that he was doing Axl Rose shit before Axl Rose was even getting laid, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like Freddie Mercury was just rocking shit out before people knew how to rock shit out. He's the GOAT, in my opinion, as far as rock vocalists go.
I totally agree.
Simple
good shit.
As that.
Good shit. I'm so happy.
Clap to ourselves.
I'm so happy that we took on this band.
I will say real quick before we exit, a buddy of mine that watches my YouTube microphone review channel, American Liberty, my guy, love him, never even met him, and I love him. He said, enjoyed the show live on the big screen. But
really?
He's a good dude. He said, but Beastie Boys over Queen, y'all bumped your heads. We're not saying that the Beastie Boys are a bigger entity than Queen. In fact, actually, you want to talk about all-time greatest groups of all time, Queen is probably number one.
I agree with that.
But in the context of this podcast,
yes,
the context of this podcast, we were more familiar with Queen, even though it was just the hits, than we were with the Beastie Boys. So the impact that Queen had on us was already there, sort of. But again, we probably only heard about 5% of their discography. So this was still a journey worth taking because I learned so much about how damn good Queen was. But the reason we ranked the Beastie Boys over Queen as far as the impact of the podcast goes, I didn't even know I liked the Beastie Boys that much. I knew I liked Queen. I didn't know that I loved the Beastie Boys. I went, and that's the impact. Queen, yeah, I fucking love them. Now I love them more. Beastie Boys, yeah, they were okay back in the day. Now I love them. So that's the difference there. It's not a who's better. It's who's impacted us more on this journey of listening to music we didn't dive deeply into.
Perfect explanation. I
I'm with
respect
you.
that so much.
And I'm with you because, I mean, the Beastie Boys have had the biggest impact. They will stick with me. I still listen to that shit. I think it's hard. The Beastie Boys are hard. That shit hits me hard.
Yes.
Queen hits me hard too, but they hit me hard a long time ago.
Sure.
I just didn't know their full body of work. So hopefully that sums it up for you, Mr. American Liberty. But yeah, the totem pole, Beastie Boys are just holding that top spot right now as far as the impact of switching positions from they're okay to their top 5 all time for me of what I like. Queen was already up there for me. I just didn't know their full body of work.
Yeah, I would say Queen for me went from, I don't know, prior to this review, maybe like in the top 30 to, oh my gosh, the top 5. I don't even want to say top 5. They're just the best. I kind of, just like you said, branching off of what you said, we really hadn't dug into it. There's just so much to appreciate. Just I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying.
yeah. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
It's not a fair comparison. It's not a right comparison. It's not the comparison that you think you're hearing. It's simply based off of what we're doing here on this podcast. That's what it boils down to. It's just simply based off this. If you were to take every band we've done, the band that I'm most familiar with is Queen, because I've heard probably every single one of their hits and very, very, very little of the stuff in between.
Yeah.
So Beastie Boys, I mean, Intergalactic and Fight for Your Right, maybe, the rest of it was kind of known, but not really.
Yeah. You might get into Smash Mouth, go through their discography and think, piss on Queen.
You ever see the Simpsons movie where Homer's falling down the hole and he's just doing that on his way down?
Yeah.
Fuck that. I'm not going to dig. I hate those motherfuckers.
I know.
That's torture to me. Yeah. Torture. That's anti Freddie Mercury. Is that dude?
Well, once again,
Guy Fieri looking fuck. Anyway,
once again, I appreciate you putting my thoughts into words. I appreciate you separating the impact.
It's just, I mean, it just is what it is. When you don't know that you love a band and then you love them after this, that's the impact. Always loved Queen, just didn't know all of it, and now we're on that journey and we'll know all of it at the end of it. Even if that means we have to suffer through some 80s shit that wasn't that great, we're still going to know all of it.
That's why we're here.
So that's why we're here. That's why we're here. Thanks for joining us. We have no idea what we're doing next. We talked about Kiss. That's probably not going to happen, but we'll figure it out over the weekend.
Yeah.
And, we'll, shit. What was there? We'll rock and roll all night and party every day with you soon as we figure out what it is. Probably not Kiss. It's more likely to be Smash Mouth than Kiss, but that's not true. That's not true. But we'll see you guys next time. The next episode, actually, I don't even know what the hell I was thinking, except what's next? Queen's next, bitches.
Yeah, I was stopping you.
Queen's next. We got to do the second half of Queen. So next Friday is Queen, barring unforeseen circumstances that might push us back, which hasn't happened really yet. But Queen Part 2 is coming up. Might not be as exciting, but we'll have some shit to say. And after that, who knows? We'll figure it out. But we always give you a heads up. Follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all those fantastic sites, YouTube, and the such. We will announce everywhere that we can what's next, even after Queen. That way you can follow along. But jump into the 80s with Queen, and we'll be there with you next week. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace. Thank you for listening to Stuck in My Generation. Again, if you want to suggest bands for us to listen to, send it over to stuckinmygeneration@gmail.com.